It was first proposition was here.
All right, we're going to call to order the Whitley County Board of Zoning Appeals, the regular meeting of Tuesday, October 22, 2024. Roll call, please, Brent.
Jack Green.
Here.
Kelley Sheiss.
Here.
Danny Wilkinson.
Here.
Doug Wright.
Here.
Joe Wolf.
Here. Okay, board, we got a copy of the minutes of our last regular meeting, which was September 24th, 2024. They're here in front of us. Any changes, additions, corrections? Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September 24th.
Second.
Go ahead. Moved by Joe, seconded by Kelley, that we approve the minutes of our last regular meeting, which was September 24th, 2024. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Minutes are approved 5-0 with all attending members voting in favor. Okay, at this time we need to administer an oath. If you're a petitioner here tonight, if you're here in opposition, or if you're here for any reason that you think you may speak, you need to stand at this time, and our attorney Liz Deckard will swear you in. Anyone who's going to speak or think they might.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that any statements you make before the board tonight will be the truth? If so, state I do.
I do.
All right, thank you. You may be seated. Old business, none at this time, I don't believe. Okay, we'll get into new business. Give you an idea how we run the meeting. If you haven't been here before, we'll read your petition. The staff will give their staff report. Then we'll ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address, and what it is you'd like to do. The first petition under new business is petition 24W variance 18, filed by Tom and Lisa Porter, owners of the subject property, who are requesting a development standards variance of the required minimum side setback on the property located at 2480 North Binkley Road in section 30 of Richland Township. Staff.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So going to the summary of the staff report, this is located at 2480 North Binkley Road in Richland Township, zoned AG agricultural. What is proposed is the, actually it's already been placed, a 12 by 16 storage shed on runners with a 6.4 foot side setback, as well as a smaller shed with a slightly larger side setback of 7.3 feet. Both were already installed a couple years ago without permits. When that was brought to their attention, the need for either moving the sheds or seeking a variance due to the less than 10-foot minimum side yard was identified. So the petitioner opted for the variance route. They can give you more details on exactly why that was as opposed to moving it. But the requested variance is of 3.6 feet. Aerial view here, highlighted in blue is subject property, and the sheds in question are along the north property line up here, just east of that driveway. Closer view, you can see, it's a little hard to see, but on here the topography of the site is shown. Where these sheds are located, it does have a significant slope, not a very steep slope, but definitely one that's quite noticeable. As you go to the southwest from the home, the property does flatten out, but where these sheds are located, they were placed as far north and west in order to deal with that slope as best as we can tell. Also to partially take advantage of some grading that had been done years ago prior to the sheds being there. oblique view, again, just again for perspective here, and the submitted survey showing the exact precise distances from that property line. Going to the variance criteria, staff doesn't feel that this would be injurious to public health or safety. This is backing up to a tree line. The next nearest house to the north, next nearest building to the north is quite a bit of distance away, so would not be impacting safety. Doesn't appear to affect any septic system or other health effects. Of course, if there aren't specific practical difficulties, general welfare may be affected. Use and value, again, not likely to be substantially and adversely affected. The sheds are very common in the agricultural areas, of course, and other than the small setback difference, these would not be distinguishable and therefore not likely to have impact on use and value. Strict application of the code terms of the ordinance. Again, the slope here probably does have some impact on creating practical difficulty, does limit some of the placement, does limit the relocation, as I am assuming. That's why they sought the variance rather than moving it, both sheds a few feet. The situation, though, whether it's self-imposed or not, that's something for you guys to sort out. Again, if the permits had been obtained ahead of placement, this distance could have been resolved ahead of time as normal, or a variance sought a few years ago if needed. So you can weigh that out along with the other criteria. Any questions for me?
All right, petitioner, the porters, or the representative?
Hi. I have a big voice. I'm not sure I need the microphone, so if I talk too loud, you need to tell me that, okay? My name is Lisa Porter. This is my husband, Tom Porter. Obviously, you've got pictures of that. I did not realize that you would have the pictures also that showed the various functions of our property. As you can see, we've got concrete right there, and also, and I will stand over here. Some of the issues that we have with our property, the slope has already been mentioned. And then between the house and this first shed right here, we actually have a well right there. So that's another issue that we have. You might see the big area over here where it looks like there's a significant amount to the south of our property. That's where our septic field is. So that pretty much takes up the most significant area of that. And again, I appreciate the agriculture area that mentioned about the sheds. The other thing that, you know, we looked at is where was the most logical place with the other outbuildings where the shed could be placed. Some of the other reasons, and Tom can reiterate if needed, we do have between the detached garage and where the shed is, there actually is a drain that goes under that concrete driveway. So basically the way the grade of the property is, it kind of pushes it kind of down towards that. So we try to make sure that when the shed was placed that it was not where there would be a lot of water running under it, okay?
We kept an eye on the hill. It's like a hill like this, and then it goes down real quick.
Yeah.
And there's a tile that goes under that driveway. And also years ago, that hill right there where they're setting is packed tight. I mean, we used to run dozers and everything back to the construction company that my parents and me were part of. In years, we had that going down through there, so it's packed pretty tight. It was a good place to set them. You know, I didn't have to put them below freeze level or nothing. Just I figured they'd set them on the ground and they'd stay there for a while. So.
The other issue with potential shed placement is to the north of the detached shed. There actually is very low right there. That's where it actually goes down to the drain that goes under the gravel road. And then to the south of the detached garage is actually where our underground electrical line comes through from the road to the house. So you could almost from this little dot right here, draw a line right there. So we're kind of a little limited where it might be the best choices for us.
Plus my property goes back on a V shape like this. So I set them as far as I could over from the front, but they look goofy if I set them out of square with the rest of the buildings. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of set them square, which put the west or the east side of them, which would be the back, closer to the boundary line.
So in regards to the other comment that was made, and again, I appreciate that, you know, as far as moving it, they are in the ground. The larger shed has basically wood footers, not concrete footers. And so we're respectfully asking if you would approve our variance because it's not distracting to the neighbor's property.
There's a tree line right beside them, you can't even see them.
Right, and there's a fence row right there also. And what questions do you have for us that we can answer or clarify further?
Board, do you have any questions of the petitioner? Any questions? Anyone in the audience have questions? Anyone in the audience opposed? Anyone opposed or have questions? There's no questions or no opposition. Any further discussion, board, on this petition? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor of petition 24W variance 18, followed by Tom and Lisa Porter. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, it's also approved 5-0 with all attending members voting in favor.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. You're free to leave once your petition's done if you so desire.
Thank you.
Joey never did come get those dog pins.
What's that?
I remember.
I gave them to my son. I put so.
That's all right.
Thanks, see you.
See ya.
I think so.
The next petition under new business is petition 24W variance 19, followed by Casey Avery and Trevor Mastropietro, owners of the subject property, who are requesting a development standards variance of the required front setback for construction of a new pool building on the property located at 6908 North, 200 West, in Section 6 of Thorncreek Township, Richland. Thorncreek Township. Staff, I think it said Richland. I think Richland's wrong. It's
Okay, you're
Thorncreek.
thinking, okay, stand corrected.
Yeah, it's Thorncreek. Okay, thanks for catching that, Danny. We're not always perfect. Brent's not always perfect.
There you go.
I mean, he's human. Makes errors. He's there. He's human. He makes errors.
Yep. Okay, so this is 6908 North 200 West in Thorncreek Township, zoned AG agriculture. It is located on Lot 4 of Hunter's Chase, which was platted in 1998. And so because of that, we do have both the required zoning setback and the required front building line as well. And both of which are 40 feet. Yes, why do that one's my error. It's not 35 foot. I copied this from a Lake Residential slide. So that should be 40 feet. Front building line is also 40 feet. So it's a requested variance of both building line and front setback. Proposed to construct a 30 by 40 foot storage building for both storage and potential to be used as a livestock barn in the future. The front setback from the right-of-way line, which is which was dedicated, or excuse me, platted as part of the plat, is 8.8 feet. The side setback, as originally proposed, was to be 10 feet, which meets the minimum for a accessory structure. However, The drainage board did need to review this because there's a legal drain at the southwest corner of the property, and because of their approval, the building is being shifted towards the north to increase that side setback to 25 feet. So that's the change there because of the drainage board approval. Again, the requested setback variances are from 40 feet down to the 8.8 feet. Aerial view here showing the property highlighted in blue, and the home is at the top of a hill, and the property does drop off towards the road. Closer view, and the red line in the southwest corner going off to the west is that legal drain and associated easement there. Survey, the dashed line is that easement. This property, or this building, would be located well within that drainage easement. You can see the 30-foot right-of-way that was part of the platted lot, and the 70-foot building line, which is 40 feet from the right-of-way line, 70 feet from the center line of the road, here matching both the building line and the required zoning setback. Overlaying the proposed plot plan over the aerial, and again, this does have contours on it, so you can see that the proposed location does place the building on a flatter piece of the property. There is additional flat space at the top of the hill on the southeast corner of the property. However, getting there, it's my understanding the petitioner desires to keep this closer to the road for access purposes. Another factor involved in this is the location of the septic system, which it's my understanding that is located north of the driveway. Again, limiting the overall number of locations that this could be placed. Going to the review criteria, public health and safety probably would not be substantially injured. Pole buildings are common in the ag area, and again, this is not located near another structure. Use and value. Use probably would not be affected whatsoever. There isn't anything in the immediate area near this pole building. The visual impression, though, of the building being relatively close to the road and closer than other structures in the area, and especially since this is a part of a platted subdivision of a handful of lots, that may wind up changing the value. Whether that's substantial or not is a real good question, and staff's opinion is it's probably not substantial, but it could affect the overall value because of that proximity to the road. Going to the practical difficulties, I've already mentioned that the slope is probably the largest single practical difficulty. Approximately an 8-foot slope is on the site. It does limit the number of locations, and in conjunction with the septic system location, the overall number of places for any outbuilding is limited, let alone one that is 30 by 40. So any questions for me at this point?
70-foot building line, that's part of Hunter's Chase subdivision. It's in that subdivision ordinance, or for that, not that subdivision rules?
Correct. It's 70 feet from the center line of the road, which is equivalent to a 40-foot setback from the right-of-way.
And that's with all the lots in that subdivision, is that right? That at least borders that road?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. All right, petitioner, your representative, tell us about your petition.
Good evening. My name is Danny Mastropietro Trevor. Is my middle name. That's what I go by. Here tonight to see if I can get a variance changed on my plot to get my 30 by 40 pole barn put down at the bottom of the hill. In the future, we would like to maybe have a couple goats down there for the kids, and that would be on the east side of the barn, which would go into a little bit farther of that hill right there. So I was trying to keep it away from the watershed of the hill. We did do yesterday, had a meeting yesterday morning at 9:30, I wasn't there, for the drainage board. They approved me to be, as long as I was 35 foot away from the drainage boards, that's what they proposed for me. They approved me. On the north side, like this gentleman said, that I do have my septic on the north side. And then on the back side, I didn't want to make my driveway go all the way up that hill and all the way to the back side of the property. I want to try to steer clear of that. And it's about the only spot I really found that was presentable to put that size of a pole building.
All right, board, any questions of the petitioner? Anyone here with questions of the petitioner?
That won't block at all. You'll have a good visual coming out of your driveway, won't you?
Yeah,
Like coming down your driveway and you look to the left. That
you can
I know
definitely.
that's not a real busy road, but
No, there's still plenty of vision there.
Okay.
So I mean, I had him unload some trusses today, and the semi he actually pulled off the side of the road, and he was still able to get completely back out. So there was plenty of room to maneuver around that.
thanks.
Who owns the tree there by the road? You or your neighbor?
Well,
Or
that's
right on the line.
It's kind of split. I was going to talk to my neighbor. I was going to get a metal detector and try to find my pin in the road because I think that's my tree. But I was going to try to find out because one section of it is dead.
Again, anyone here with questions? Anyone here in opposition? Anyone here in opposition? There's no opposition to this petition. Any further discussion, board? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor of petition 24W variance 19 filed by Casey Avery and Trevor Mastropietro. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, it's also approved 5-0
Thank you,
with
John.
all attending
Ladies and
members voting in favor. All right. Okay, staff, anything else?
Yes, we do. If you might recall, back in July, 24 WSE 11, that case for an amendment to our lumber products business down on 1000 South. At that meeting in July, we requested them to, the petitioner to return in October to discuss the progress of what they're doing to both comply with conditions of approval and then just generally make things, improve the site and the overall business. So that's what the petitioner is here tonight. But I do have a couple things to show you before handing it over to them, if you're okay with that. So as a reminder, the conditions of approval from SE 11, there were 7 in the most recent version. The hours of operation being 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. The tree screening being in accordance with 5.6 of the zoning code to be completed within 6 months. Truck maneuvering, ongoing compliance with building and fire codes, and then again, number 7 is why we're here. Brent and I did visit the site yesterday in order to check out condition number 4, the tree screening, as well as to go over some of the things that are being done on the site for our benefit. And so if you've got some questions for us about that, we can kind of fill in some of what the petitioner may note as well. Some photos though for your reference. These 4 are the tree screen. Section 5.6 requires if you're using evergreens or pine trees, a 6-foot height at the time of planting and a 20-foot spacing minimum. These are, at the time of planting, I would say 6 foot from grade because they actually were dug in a little bit farther than what the root ball is. They do vary. Some of them are below 6 foot, some of them are above 6 foot. So I do find that would be compliant. Importantly, and you can see there they are not on 20-foot spacing. They're on about a 8-foot spacing, perhaps. That is going back to the nature of this type of tree. They are designed and intended to grow quickly in order to provide a windbreak or visual screen, somewhat of a noise barrier, because it is vegetative material, will absorb sound. Not sure exactly how quick this variety would grow, but they can grow up to, in good conditions, 2 feet per year. So in a couple years, these may be basically twice as tall. May eventually wind up being that they need to be thinned as well. The top left corner is looking from the middle of the north side of the property along the road, looking northwest. The top right corner is approximately the same position, looking northeast. You can see the trees, they wrapping around. I can probably zoom in a little bit there. Wrapping around and going down the eastern property line. This does not go all the way to the southeast corner of the property, but it does go far enough to screen the pole building. The bottom 2 photos here are the additional trees that screen the rest of the building. As you can see there, the red building, and then they continue on to line up with 3 existing pine trees that were on the property in front of the old house. The petitioner's new house is still under construction, and then on the other side of the trees, of the existing pine trees, these trees do continue farther west as well. And you can see well beyond what was discussed, the trees do wrap around and follow the driveway that's there. So, not exactly what the code calls out and what we oftentimes would be looking for an industrial property, some variances allowable in terms of species especially. So this does seem to be meeting the code requirement in terms of providing screening. That is the intent. 4 other photos here for additional reference, more of the operation side of things. The upper left one is viewing the main area between the buildings, and the upper right one is a closer view of that, the product and materials that are currently stored there, some of which is slowly being moved towards the south behind the buildings, which the lower 2 photos are evidence of. That is material that is being stored behind the existing buildings. The red one is the grinder building, and then the right one is behind the main assembly building, if that's the right term. And there is evidence that additional product and material is being moved. Petitioner has got some other ideas on what might work for him for further measures to be taken. I'll let him kind of describe that. We spitballed a few things with him, and it's his property and his place to describe what he might be proposing to you, though. So any questions for us, though, at this point? Okay.
This is just information for us, right? We're not to make any decisions or anything, is that correct?
Correct. The condition of approval was to have the petitioner come back and give you an update.
Okay. So we're ready for
Yes.
Yoders, right?
If you don't have questions for me.
Yeah. Yoders, if you wish to speak.
I'm Jay Yoder, Yoder Lumber, address 7579 West, 1000 South, South Whitley. So we did the tree planting. They're still on top of the noise barn, which is the grinder. There's muffler pipe coming out of the top, and we want to go and put some like barriers on top of the roof to help to block the noise so it don't go travel straight north. And then we want to try to keep taking stuff in the backside. But it'll be impossible for me to have everything in the back. Our business, we won't be able to do that. So I won't be able to do that.
Okay, board, questions? Anything?
Rough year to plant trees, as dry as it's been. You were probably
Yeah.
looking for a little more rain, weren't you?
Yeah. Every other day we water them, 3 to 5 minutes per tree, and it takes about nine man hours. Me and my children were getting educated. So
I see that one picture, you had a hose laying there.
yeah,
I can see the hose.
but it takes a little bit. But they so the company that planted them was in Warsaw area, and they helped us along. Hummingbird Nursery.
Mhm.
I advise anybody to go there, and they helped us along.
All right. All right, I guess it's back to staff.
Other business, I don't think I've got any.
Oh, so you're ready to adjourn? We're adjourned.
That's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
You're the boss, man.
No? Anyone wish
Oh,
to continue?
actually, hold on.
Anyone wish to continue?
Um,
Brent?
We haven't I don't think we've given them anything.
we haven't given him the schedule.
Have we done a
Okay.
meeting schedule with you guys yet for next year? I don't believe that we have.
Just the trainings.
Yeah.
You gave us the
Okay.
trainings dates at the last training, but not the meeting
Well,
date.
let me just bring up the calendar real quick for you, and since I've got it, and so the meeting schedule for next year is the lower half of that. All of the dates fall on the normal fourth Tuesday of the month, except for the meeting in December, which is moved in order to avoid Christmas Eve, which is a holiday. So that gets bumped, I believe, to a Monday. Otherwise, it's again all the standard dates.
Can you send that time?
We will. Yeah.
Can I ask I can't claim I'm a newbie anymore. Why do we meet at 7:30 instead of 7?
Good
Danny,
question.
do you have any insight on that? Because that's well before my time.
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you, yeah.
No. That was just all I can say. It's normal meeting time. I have no reason.
The only thing that I've been able to figure out is at one point in time, City Council met at 7 p.m. Also on the fourth Tuesdays, like tonight. But several years ago, they changed to 6 p.m. When it was 7 p.m., there was definitely a chance for conflict. At 6 p.m., if this meeting were changed, say to 7, it's still unlikely to have a conflict as long as they stay at 6.
It's not a big.
Yeah, not like 7.
You get a little sleepy. No, I'm just kidding. I just I know Planning Commission. Don't they meet at 7?
They meet
and
at 7.
We meet at 7.
I just wondered what the 7:30 reasoning was, and if there was any consideration I mean for staff as well. So
Chair Busco's BZA meets at 7:30 as well. Again, I'm not sure at all why that is, other than, hey, the county meets at 7:30, we will too. Their plan commission used to meet at 6 p.m. Until they changed it to 6:30. And then South Whitley meets at 6:15 and 6:30 for their 2 meetings. City meetings are both at 7. So It's a variety.
It's not bad if you have a short agenda, but if you have something that's gonna take a long time, that extra half an hour sometimes can, there's a difference. I just thought I'd bring it up.
I don't remember. I'll have to double check and see if the time is explicitly set in the code. I don't think it is. If it is, we'll have to take more formal action, but if it's not, you guys can just have a motion and change your time for next year, basically.
Makes sense.
So let us research that. Hold off on approval of the dates for next year because this includes the time. So we'll bring that back to your next meeting.
Kelley wasn't even listening to you.
I'm sorry, he was just, you said you'd bring it up at the next meeting.
Yeah, we'll review the time and bring it back to your next meeting for your consensus or approval.
I'm a mother, I can hear
I'm impressed.
You could probably see me too, even though you're facing the other way. Okay, that's all I've got unless Brent tells me I've got more.
Nope, that's all I got.
We're adjourned.